TV18. And you're watching CNBC TV18.
Presented by HSBC Commercial Banking.
Focus, ideate, innovate, enable.
There is no disputing the fact that 20 years of economic reform have radically transformed India into the second fastest growing economy of the world. And the symbols of economic progress are evident all around us. Look at the number of mobile phones, cars, two-wheelers, TV channels, malls or high-rise buildings. All these are pointers that India is a happening place. The consumption story has been possible because entrepreneurs could offer goods and services to eager consumers who now have disposable incomes. In other words, the opening of the Indian economy has given birth to a new class of entrepreneurs. And the gratifying part is that this number is growing very fast. This new class of entrepreneurs have been able to slice and dice the market and in the process convert wants into needs. I would dare say that if India was a cocoon economy, then one would not have had the likes of Kishore Biyani or a Subhash Chandra or a Sunil Mittal making it big in a short span of time. Clearly, economic reforms have not only launched thousands of entrepreneurs, but have created an environment that has hastened the pace of growth. And our focus this week is on one such entrepreneur who came into being in 1991. Chucking his high-paying job, the academically strong BVR Mohan Reddy decided to focus in a micro-niche area of engineering R&D for global giants. Take a look at Infotech Enterprises story and you'll know how to make it big, even if you're behind-the-scene player.
Chances are, not many may know much about this 20-year-old dividend-paying company. But what they do touches the lives of people all over the world. Commuters in London or Delhi using the tube may not be aware, but the signalling system works 24/7 thanks to this company. Again, if you're driving a BMW, its GPS has so much intelligence built into it that the engine gets signals of an impending climb much before the driver actually reaches the spot. Result, the engine has already adjusted itself for the steep climb. And this one promises to be the mother of all innovations. A game changer for the aviation sector. By 2013, air passengers all over the world will heave a sigh of relief as the engine noise in the aircraft will be reduced by a whopping 50%. And the company that makes all this possible is a Hyderabad-based low-profile Infotech Enterprises founded by BVR Mohan Reddy in 1991. This company specializes in geospatial engineering design and IT solutions. Its range of services include digitization of drawings and maps, photogrammetry, computer-aided design, computer-aided engineering, repair development engineering, reverse engineering application software development. All these services find its way into aerospace, heavy engineering, rail transportation, and utilities. By providing such a niche service, this 1,500 crore rupees plus company is adding tremendous values to its high-profile global customers who are part of the Fortune 500 list. The rigor that Mr. Reddy has put in place in terms of process, quality and standard has resulted in the company getting 98% repeat business from global corporations. And this has also been possible because of its deliberate strategy to be a behind-the-scene player.
One thing that we're very conscious of, and it's a part of our strategy, is we won't become our customers' competitor at any point. We're in an industry which is very IP sensitive and knowledge sensitive. Therefore, if we become a competitor to our customer, then we lose our value proposition very, very quickly, and that will be dangerous for us. At least our strategy is to support our customers win these deals.
This strategy certainly seems to have paid off. For a company that started with 4 engineers from the residence of Mohan Reddy in Hyderabad, it indeed has come a long way. Today it has 14 subsidiaries 5 development centers in India, 9,000 plus people from 21 different nationalities working in over 40 countries. Interestingly, India just contributes 3% to its turnover, while North America accounts for 55%, Europe 37%, and Asia Pacific region 8%. Some of its marquee clients are Bombardier, Pratt & Whitney, TomTom, Boeing, Airbus, Bharti Airtel, IBM, Philips, Siemens, Verizon, Caterpillar and Hyundai. So how did it all begin? Mohan Reddy, part of the 4 children family, was born in October 1950 in Mehboob-Nagar, Andhra Pradesh. His father, Bodannapu Nagi Reddy, was a police officer and mother a housewife. After his schooling, Mohan graduated in mechanical engineering from the Kakinada University with a gold medal. He then went on to acquire 2 master's degrees, one in industrial engineering from IIT Kanpur and another in management engineering from the University of Michigan, Ann Arbor, USA. Armed with these 2 degrees, Mohan Reddy began his career with the DCM Group, then moved to Micro Bosch and later joined HCL. Lady Luck, it seems, was benevolent. In 1982, at a young age of 32, he landed the managing director's job at OMC Computers, a CAD/CAM company, floated jointly by Tata's promoted Voltas, Andhra Pradesh government and Dr. Raj Reddy. Of course, this position also gave him a 4.5% stake in the company. After heading OMC for a decade, 42-year-old Mohan Reddy felt a strong urge to build his own nest. That was 1991, a year which changed the life of India forever as the Congress-led Narasimha Rao government ushered in liberalization. It also changed Mohan Reddy's life. So he quit OMC in 1991. Luckily, Voltas, then headed by A.H. Tobaccowala, readily bought Mohan Reddy's 4.5% stake. That money became Mohan Reddy's initial capital to start Infotech Enterprises with his 2 NRI friends who chipped in 20% stake. Since Reddy understood CAD/CAM business like the back of his hand, he focused in this area. However, the demand for this business was in the US. Initial years were difficult. The first order of $7,000 came from A.E. Staley for conversion of drawing into CAD file. This was followed by General Motors' $70,000 contract to convert drawings into CAD files. To raise the comfort level of his clients in the US, Reddy decided to list Infotech in March 1997 with an IPO of 4.65 crore rupees. And Reddy's 4-pillar strategy of taking care of stakeholders was at work here. An investor who had invested 1 lakh of rupees in buying 5,000 shares would today be worth 82.31 lakh rupees, holding 60,000 shares after factoring in dividend and 3 bonus issues. Soon after the IPO, Infotech signed a breakthrough contract to provide GIS conversion, consulting and mapping services worth $5.5 million to the US-based Analytical Survey. Within a year, the company acquired cartographic services from Analytical Survey. In 1999, it acquired DataView Solutions, a UK-based GIS software firm. The real turning point for Infotech was bagging long-term engineering services contract from Pratt & Whitney, part of United Technologies in 2000. This deal transformed the company. Even while making its mark, Reddy's strategy was to acquire a local company to cater to a new geography. Effectively, Infotech has done 11 acquisitions in the last 20 years. It has acquired AGS, Vargas, Tele-Atlas India, Time to Market and Taxcon. Infotech Enterprises, which has a strong presence in the US, Europe, is now entering the Japanese market in a big way.
In terms of rejigging their strategy, geography expansion, it's anyway happening. The company is also looking at a couple of new markets. For instance, till not too long ago, they were almost entirely into rail and aerospace related stuff. They've acquired a company which is into heavy equipment engineering. They have said a lot of intentions about, they've at least expressed a lot of intentions about getting into shipbuilding and ocean engineering kind of stuff, etc. So I would say that the company is expanding in multiple areas. One is geographies, one is verticals, and one is the client. So far as I am concerned, this expansion seems quite logical to me, and I don't see that the company has to be overly concerned and do an acquisition somewhere else just for increasing the geographic diversification.
All these exercises of expansion and acquisitions is to attain the $1 billion turnover in the next 3 to 4 years. Towards this, the company has drawn a list of 100 must-have companies. Seems an ambitious target. For the year ended March 2011, it earned a net profit of 140 crore rupees on a turnover of 1,218 crore rupees. And by March 2012, it should touch a turnover of 1,575 crore rupees.
See, the biggest thing was in terms of creating this organization for future, for our $1 billion journey. This could be in terms of making sure that our performance for the business in terms of bottom line also improves. There have been some concerns in the past that in the last 6-8 quarters we have been improving the top line, but we have not been consistently improving the bottom line also. So one of the mandate is definitely the return to the shareholders has to go up. Second challenge is definitely we have a clear vision to grow into a $1 billion company. So what kind of processes and systems that should be there to take us to that $1 billion company from the finance perspective as well as from the organization-wide systems, that would be another challenge for me.
Well, the mood certainly seems upbeat at the company's headquarters in Hyderabad. On that note, we need to take a short commercial break. When we come back, we will talk to BVR Mohan Reddy, the moving force behind Infotech. Also joining us on the show will be Sandeep Uppal of HSBC.
Thank heaven for little girls. For little girls get bigger every day.
Lemonade is 50 cents. I take Hong Kong dollars. That's it, Auntie.
Well.
Nay, I'm good, ma.
Bye.
Thank heaven.
At HSBC, we believe that in the future, even the smallest business will be multinational.
Girls. Newspaper.
भाई चौकना तो बनता है। अब पावर स्टीयरिंग प्लस एसी प्लस बॉडी कलर बम्पर्स प्लस गियर शिफ्ट इंडिकेटर प्लस 21.1 का माइलेज सिर्फ 2.98 lakhs में। Hyundai का नया Eon Delight Plus। Value on तो India on।
Hyundai. If you think you're the greatest coffee lover, then log on to What's Brewing on Facebook. Take the Brew Exotica Challenge and you could fly to Mount Kilimanjaro or Brazil.
खुद हैश कर रहे मुझे काम पे लगा दिया, पर मैं नहीं तो और कौन करेगा? करेगा ना HDFC लाइफ का क्लिक टू प्रोटेक्ट ऑनलाइन प्लान। चाहे कल रहूं ना रहूं, ये सब कुछ करेगा। अब मैं सर उठा के कह सकता हूँ I love my family.
We're here to be the model of a modern global airline. An ambitious mission we remind ourselves of all the time. Flying more than ever with a flock of new planes in our fleet. You'll be greeted once you're seated by many captains just like me.
On your journey there up in the air, we'll handle every hassle. Great with kids and seniors to tourists and multinationals.
Our service is so popular, we're flying international. Our service is so popular, we're flying international.
We will remind ourselves now one more time with each and every single flight. We're here to be the model of a modern global airline. And every time we fly, we will ensure that you will land on time.
If you want to just sprint very quickly, you will find that you run out of gas, energy. So I think you should keep in mind that it's a longer race and that the fruits come later, not immediately. So I'm very pleased that you're selling the idea of both running and long-term investing here this morning.
NSE and CNBC TV18 present Investothon 2012 this February in Mumbai. To register, SMS INV to 51818.
Presented by National Stock Exchange. Cafe partner Cafe Coffee Day. Media partner CNBC Awaaz.
Aditya Birla Group presents Budget 2012. Will it lead to a bounce back or breakdown?
Presented by Aditya Birla Group, taking India to the world in association with Binani Cement, Indigo, and Jayaprakash Power Ventures, digital outdoor partner DSN, cafe partner Barista.
Meeting the many demands of the big fat Indian wedding, check. Handy ergo lever for the star performing at the Sangeet, check. Setting up the next big fat Indian wedding, next. Skoda Rapid, built for the thoughtful.
Welcome back. One could say Infotech is the product of India's liberalization and he the new class of entrepreneur. BVR Mohan Reddy, who pioneered CAD/CAM culture in India, has certainly created lasting impression among his global clients. So what makes this global giant flock to his company? To find answers to those kind of questions, I caught up with Mohan Reddy at sprawling office located over 10 acres in Madhapur in Hyderabad. Mr. Reddy, Sandeep, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Mr. Reddy, if I may begin by asking you, you are a MD of a company at a fairly young age, around 31, 32. You're doing very well, yet you chose to start your own business, and that too in a CAD/CAM area. Why did you choose this particular field, and what made you give up this job?
I was 41 when I started this company, Infotech Enterprises. And there is a big difference between starting your own company, having your own company versus working for somebody. It was a great job that I was doing. I used to work for the Tatas, but all the same you're working for somebody. As opposed to that, as an entrepreneur, you always have the urge to be on your own. So it's the entrepreneurship in me which brought me out to say that I have to have a company of my own, and that's when I founded Infotech Enterprises. I'm a trained mechanical engineer. That's where my strength is, the first one. The second one is the company that I used to run for about 10 years was in the CAD/CAM system integration business. As a professional, when I look back, when I finished my 10 years in OMC Computers, that's where I was, the biggest asset I thought I had was my experience.
Okay, for a layperson, what does your company do that makes his or her life better?
One is we provide engineering services is what we say. What is engineering is, if a company wants to design a particular product, it has to be engineered. Take a very mundane example called toothbrushes. We design toothbrushes for Philips at this point of time.
Toothbrush.
Right. So therefore, but there's a design component involved. There is an innovation involved. There is optimization involved. These are the value creators that we bring to our customers. I'll give you another very complicated example, is that we design actually aircraft engines for a company called Pratt & Whitney. Or we design the fuselages for a company like Boeing. So therefore, there is a complexity in design, but it's the same engineer who works, different engineers, but on the same problems that we have in engineering, which are addressed. So what we finally bring to the common man is that this world, a better place to live.
What was the big turning point of your company, and what are the big order you got?
Unhesitantly, the biggest turning point that we got in our history of this company in the last 20 years is in 2000, when Pratt & Whitney, one of the 3 largest engine manufacturers in the world, was hunting around for a partner who could do their engineering design work. We were not a big company. We were only then known for our GIS work that we were doing. But we were very fortunate enough to find a place in their shortlist.
How did you convince them?
The 2 things that I felt I was very strong about is that I had engineering passion. That is what I showed to them. I had a small engagement by that time with Ford Motor Company. We used to do a finite element analysis for their engine blocks. Okay. But the second one that I convinced to them, in the GIS, the amount of process rigor and regimentation that we had. We're a process-driven company. So therefore, in aircraft engineering too, that you need to have enormous amount of process compliance because the room for error, the tolerance to errors is very, very small. They call it a zero tolerance regime. Okay. So I thought I convinced them on these 2 counts. But subsequently, the client, that is Pratt & Whitney, told me that they saw one other great attribute in this organization, and that was trust. They trusted us. They said, look, you sounded so accurate to what their requirements were. And we gelled, the chemistry agreed. And thereafter, there was no looking back.
Okay, let me get Sandeep in. Sandeep, you heard Mr. Reddy. What is it about this company that strikes you or singularly appeals to you as a banker?
What struck me was the fact that it's been around for 20 years and it's pretty much stuck with where it has core competence and has developed an excellent mix of customers And we spoke about it a little earlier. It's a bit of learning from the customers and teaching the customers at the same time. The management is obviously very strong, and that also demonstrates the fact that governance has been always on the agenda. It went public in late 90s. So I would say it's in the growth sector. So these are the various factors which attracted us to the company.
Okay, two things strikes me. One is that how do you ensure 98% of your customers are repeat business and only 3% of your revenue comes from India? Is it a very conscious decision, or you think this number could grow?
No, it's a very conscious decision, certainly, because what we have seen is in engineering, the more mature and the larger the relationships are, the margins are better, because these are not one-of-kind jobs you do and move out to the next one. So therefore, it became very imperative to us to keep our customers intact. And the customers that we focus therefore on very large customers. If you look at our customer profile, in aerospace we have Boeing, we have Airbus, we have Pratt & Whitney. In rail transportation, we have Bombardier, we have Alstom, we have Invensys, it goes on. Even in a new area like a nuclear power plant design, we have Westinghouse at this point of time. The second question you asked me, Ravi, is what about India? You look at the service offerings that we have at this point of time. If you look at engineering, engineering is not a big place still in India. Even if there are big players like the Tatas or the Bajajas and so on and so forth, they largely do it in-house. They're still not in this model of outsourcing the engineering work. Whereas if you look at our service offerings which are there in telecommunication business or power distribution business, certainly they would lend themselves to the Indian business. And we're doing fairly well. The 3% that we get is largely because of the telecom exposure that we have. But power distribution as well as government, which are largely in the government arena at this point of time, public sector and government, are very difficult to handle in many instances. The cost of doing business is very high. So the result is we have been a little bit away from that for a while.
Okay. So the company is a very cash-rich company that's sitting on a 300 crore plus cash, I think. As a banker, what's your challenge?
Perception people have is that banks only lend. So if you can't lend, there's nothing to do. Now, the way we're seeing it is that a company like Infotech is an emerging Indian multinational, because started with the base just in India, and as Mr. Reddy mentioned, they ventured into Germany, UK, US. Now, one way we work and add value to companies like Infotech is, given our presence across the globe, especially these markets, we are able to provide a platform, be able to assist them in their banking requirement in those countries and integrate those banking requirements back to India. The second major challenge for emerging Indian multinational like Infotech is how you manage your currencies. Because to start off, it was very simple. It was rupee, dollar. That itself, as we've seen over the last couple of weeks and months, has its own challenges. Now, if you multiply that with other currencies of euro and sterling, you obviously have an exponential increase in the need to manage these currencies. So that's where we try and assist on the foreign exchange management aspect.
Okay.
The third aspect is obviously linked with investments, because Infotech has done bolt-on acquisitions. So where required, we can assist in whether advising on the acquisition, or if it's more a transformational acquisition which is not funded through internal accruals, then we can even assist in funding of that acquisition. So it's about just following the company as it ventures out globally and see where all the needs are.
Okay, Mr. Reddy, I believe your whole edifice has been built on 4 pillars. What are those pillars?
Whole concept of our business is we have a values framework. Before the pillars, there's also a foundation. Okay. And the foundation, we call them as values first.
Okay.
Our ability to be fairness, integrity, responsiveness, transparency are the ones which make us distinctly different. We certainly believe that, it is values which matter as a first step. And then these 4 pillars are the 4 stakeholders that we have which build an organization. 4 stakeholders being customers, investors, and employees, whom we call them as associates, and the society.
Okay.
And please don't mistake that the sequence in which I said are the importance that I have for them. Okay. They're equally important because I keep saying on top of these 4 pillars is where the company rests. So therefore, even one of these stakeholders becomes weak, it becomes very difficult to company to be stable.
What does it take to succeed in business?
Without effort, nothing will come true. But not necessarily effort is the final word, which means that we put a lot of effort, you'll be successful. what makes finally success is luck. I'm not therefore saying people who lucky become successful in companies. People put a lot of effort will turn out to be lucky at some point of time.
Okay, very well put. Thanks a lot for being on the show, Mr. Reddy and Sandeep.
Thank you, Ravi.
Pleasure to have both of you on the show.
Thank you very much.
Well, that was Mohan Reddy in his element, talking with a lot of conviction and passion. These are the mantras he applied to build Infotech. Measure everything and then compare it with the best. Focus on a few things, but do it well. Infotech's success has largely been because it has focused on a few clients and serviced them well. Build knowledge specific to your customers. This way, they will not leave your fold. Build your whole edifice around 4 pillars: customers, investors, employees, and society. And finally, never compete with your client. This company is very clear that they will not get into the client area of business. Well, there's a lot of science and art in those mantras, and it is eminently doable by others who want to start their own business. On that note, it is time to say goodbye. See you next week with another interesting episode. Till then, keep watching CNBC TV18.
Presented by HSBC Commercial Banking.